Good evening. This is the Friday, the 14th of um, June, 2024. And some of y'all might think you've stumbled across the wrong channel. But if you're here for gaming, you are in the right place. What you're looking at is a Crown Royal bag. And I am not I'm not very much interested in the bag itself, but what's inside the bag, which is definitely not Canadian whiskey by any means. The if you want to call it whiskey, but yes, it's not Canadian whiskey. It is Das, right? Um, I kind of want to talk about Das some just because I think that a lot of people who play RPGs in general have tons of dice and love dice and so on. But I do think war games and war gamers do like their dice as well in a different way. Dice has been with war games. These are the dice I carry on my person usually. In my, you see, right now I'm using four D6s and D20, different colors of the D6s there. Um, but the history of dice in war games is goes back quite a way. Goes back really pretty much to the beginning. You know, if you go and look at Chaturanga, which was a predecessor to chess, it used dice, right? And four-sided dice, that is. And dice goes way back as far as we can tell in history. You know, with the theory, and I think it's a pretty strong theory, is that rolling dice comes out of bone divination. First with knuckle bones of sheep, right? That's the earliest kind of dice we find, and and that develops into what's going to be the six-sided die. And then it's going to continue develop, and then you're going to find the polyhedral dice, polyhedral dice. You'll find them in Egypt, Greece. You'll find some 20-sided dice. All of this had a lot to do with religious practices or semi-religious practices, right? Playing the Egyptian Game of the Dead, what Senate maybe some people would call that. That had otherworldly connotations to it instead of just having fun, right? Uh, Other games, but out of the idea of bone divination comes our idea of rolling for randomness, right? Back in the day, they were just leaving it up to the gods, you know, roll a die, leave it up to the gods. And some bone divination was very mathematical. Some in some parts of Africa, especially, had very mathematical values to the different bones used or the cowrie shells there. Unlike others, that developed in where I'm from, hoodoo, right? Those are just more of a feeling, right? Whether it's rolling chicken bones, I've seen it done with chicken bones, old school people, or reading tea leaves or coffee grounds, you know. And it's just about all spans all cultures, right? Even the Urim and Thummim, we don't know what it was of the ancient Hebrews, but yet they were thrown for getting answers from the divine God. Casting lots, which I think first appears in the book of Psalms. Don't know exactly what that is, but it's something similar to dice rolling. So it appears just upon all cultures and all places. And it's come down to us as a great way to randomize and get randomization of results. The best way, some would say. Dice also were developed before dominoes or cards. They came out of dice, further development of dice, and dice were used in, I said, chaturanga, later in war chess, different types of chess. Alfonso X, in his book Libro de los Juegos, he mentions dice being played with chess, right? ajedrez, right? So DOS being played with. I think that's an account that we can solidly see. So DOS has been played alongside chess. The thinking is, as chess morphed from India into Persia, and the thinking is that as same as the pieces, which used to represent things, no longer looked like people because of Islamic worries of making images, graven images. So they began to take on more, what do you want to call it? Abstract shapes, right? And the thinking is being, as well as DOS is taken out of it, and not only in Islamic practices, but in Christian practices. We don't know this. This is theoretical, highly theoretical. But it was taken out because of the chance element, the element almost of pagans. So take that for what you will. Some people look at it as strong history. The strongest history we have of DOS being played with chess is it was played with chaturanga, and Alfonso X mentioned it in Libro de los Juegos in 1284, 3, somewhere around there, 1280s. But once Kriegspiel comes along, Weiswitz, he does use the Kriegspiel dice, right? And then later, in the later versions of Kriegspiel, it's normal DOS. So DOS has been with us for a long time, and if you look at the early SPI games, they'll say randomizer, roll a randomizer. They're not even calling them DOS for whatever reason. Also, well, we'll get into that later. But we just want to look at some DOS we can have, and yes, old schoolers like me like to use their DOS bag as a crown royal bag. So I made a video on that the other day, and I thought, yeah, that's true. I guess there's a certain age people that buy their DOS bags now instead of using the Crown Royal bag or finding an old Crown Royal bag. But let's look through some of these DOS and some typical DOS that I have. This is not all the DOS I have. These are just some I've put in the bag that are worthy to put in the bag. This right here was a set my wife bought me. It's a set of campaign DOS. It's a full set of DOS you can use for anything. They got little bags themselves, come in little bags themselves. My wife got me that. She found it somewhere. And that's why I put it in this bag. It's not an expensive DOS set by no means. None of my DOS are super expensive. I do have a few antique DOS that are worth something that we're not going to look at. Maybe I'll look at it in another video sometime. But that is the campaign DOS. That's something that, people that know me, know I play games, they'll pick this up without really thinking about it or not really knowing what kind of games I play, but I do appreciate that from her. And these, I know what these are. These two were given to me by a friend who games with me. These are small DOS but the German DOS and American DOS, they're small DOS you can use for any kind of game, right? But they got neat the American and their specific American and German DOS. Small DOS so you can take a bunch with you. I got those. What else do I got in the bag? Oh, I know what this is. These are those gravity DOS. I got these. I thought these were cool. These were on some Kickstarter, I think, at some point. And I thought they were real cool. And I've never used them in games. But I thought they were cool because they were called gravity DOS. And you could, put them on their end there, right? That's a problem. They stick sometimes. But I thought they were cool. Good metal DOS. Good magnetic case. Thought they were neat. And, yeah. I've still yet to use them, but I may. We'll see. They're worth having just because they're so cool. It's a cool thing to have. Right? What else do I got here? This is, these were some resin dust that I picked up. I picked these up because I never used these either, because they had skulls on them. Thought the skulls were kind of cool. Be cool for kind of a war game, right? Yeah, if you see the little skulls there, kind of cool, kind of light, but I think good enough to use with playing games. Yeah, a lot of times I'll just use a dust that came with the game, though, to be truthfully honest with you. And here's some. Okay, I got a 20-sided die there. Got an 8-sided there, 2 6-sides, 2 10-sided dice, and another 6-sided dice to go with that one. These are all from Game Science. These were Game Science dice because, not that I particularly love Game Science dice. Lou Zocchi has been selling dice for many years now. The Wargamer and the dice salesman. They've been sold dice for many years because he sold them on the idea that other dice, mass manufactured dice, are not well balanced dice. And he's right about that. If you go and take most of your dice, I suspect if I take this one and put it in salt and water, it'll float and it will be prone to one way or the other, right? It's really not when you got your favorite dice that seem to roll on 20 more than, a lot of times that's true. So it's not really a true rolling dice, And so Lou Zocchi tried to make dice with these edges without them being tumbled, and with these edges to give you a more random roll, right? That's fine. I'm trying to do the same thing like casino dice. That's why the casino dice have the hard edges for one. That's fine, and it's fine to do, but I don't think it's a necessary thing. Dave over at the Centurion's Review, he'll tell you, he was trying to fix a problem that didn't need fixing. And a lot of times, especially if you're using the same dice pool, then no worries. It's not helping or hurting you. But if you get real nerdy and mental about it, like I've been able to at times, you want a more random roll. You want an actual randomized thing. You go into the number file and look at number file and see some of their videos on randomizing cards or dice or whatever else. So, yeah, you're going to get real nerdy and in the weeds with it sometimes. You'll do that. And that's why I have so many Game Science dice. I don't think they're better than any other dice. Or, as a matter of fact, sometimes you can say, hey, they're not as pretty as other dice, right? But doesn't matter to me. It's something to roll. And that's why I bought those Game Science ones, just to see if they were more random than other dice. And some of them very much so are. Some of them have their own problems. Some of them are I floated them. Some of them are very random. Some of them happen not to be so random sometimes. So they have some of the same problems that Lou Zocchi sought to minimize out of that. I thought I might have a Zocchihedron, a D100 Zocchihedron dice in there, but I don't. And I don't have any casino dice in there, which I have a bunch of casino dice. I thought I had some in here, but I do not. But that's all it is. Dice and war games. What about you? What kind of dice do you use? Do you even worry about randomization, or do you use your app on your phone? You right? The phone app, which, gosh, they were so bad for so long. I guess they've gotten a lot better. But, computers look for patterns, just generally. And so to program a true random dice roll is, I don't know if I really, really trust any computerized program to do it. But yes, they've got it way better, and I think by now that you probably could. But still, I would rather roll the dice. I would rather roll dice than ever have a randomized roll on a I don't know, something about the rolling of the dice I think I love, right? That doesn't mean I love just dice chucking games. I think that can have their own problems. But the randomization roll, I love to roll dice for that. I love to do it. But of course, they talk about, a lot of dice not being random. That's true. A lot of them aren't. But true randomness, man, it's hard to do if you're going to take it to actual randomness. I hate the word. People say, that's so random. It's almost never random. And so, you have to talk about what you're rolling on, the surfaces you're rolling on, the velocity at which you're rolling, what does bring randomness to it. I know I have a good friend who was playing a game. I was joking. I said, well, that's right. It was a dice chucking game. I said, I've been practicing my rolls all day for this game. And I started coming up with good rolls. And he said, is that really a thing? Is there a skill to that? And I said, no, I was just kidding. And, that's that. But, and of course, we see the 20-sided die. The history of the 20-sided die. Where did the polyhedral dice come from? The polyhedral dice been around. Like I said, 20-sided dice been around since Greece, since Egypt, at least Ptolemaic Egypt. It's been around for a long time. And so how did it get its way into games? Well, it was used, here we go. This is, the 2d10, 0 through 9 twice that I use as a percentile dice in a lot of games. That was used in some naval war games. I know because I have an advertisement of it, a copy of an advertisement of it somewhere before D&D. So it wasn't unknown in war games. It wasn't unknown in games. It just it was not very common. But I used that one as a percentile dice a bunch of different times. And I love the D20 in certain, ways. But the problem was that, anyways, it was the D20 that really started it. It was Dave Arneson who really got the idea from David Wesley. That's really where the D20 came from. Not just the D20, but the other polyhedral dice. And David Wesley, he had, in 1965, he was research. Man, that group, it was a Minnesota wargaming group, if I'm not mistaken. Dave Arneson, Dave Wesley, that whole group that was coming, they were obsessed with older war games back in the day. So he was researching a game that was published in 1880, and it said if you did, you could also use a 12-sided teetotum, and he just remembered the models out of a book from school, magazine at school that gave you different models of the polyhedral shapes, and he thought that's what it was. Turns out it was more of a spinner thing, but so he buys a set of them and says you could use it for that, and then Dave Arneson gets the idea from that because it's strange magic should have strange dice, right? That was his thinking. It should be as strange as it could. And 3D6 does have some problems with randomness, but I love the 3D6 mechanic for other reasons. But no, and David Wesley said, don't use these polyhedral dice. Nobody will know where to get them. So they included the dice in the sets of the D&D. So how great is that, man? So the whole dice rolling, the whole thing. What's your favorite dice? Do you have any favorite? Do you have any stories of loaded dice or anything like that? Again, RPGers love their dice, but I find wargamers like them too. Like some special dice sometimes. You find, like I said, these with U.S. and Germany. I see a lot of people with a lot of other dice that they use. They have different things on them. So yeah. It is what it is, man. Dice is a part of the game. It's one way you're always going to have to get randomization, right? You're going to get randomization through that way. Yeah, I don't like to stop them. Great way to randomize things. All right, that's my rambling enough. I just wanted to talk about something ancillary to war games that wasn't completely disconnected. Just want to talk about dice for a bit. If you care to look more of the subject, you can look up anything by Lou Zaki and his ideas of randomness are pretty solid. It's just that, like I said, if you're using the same dice pool, it's really not that big of a problem. As long as you're having fun, it's not that big of a problem. But only if you get into the weeds. Numberphile's another YouTube channel you might want to look at and look at random info dice and cards and other things if you enjoy it. So it is what it is, y'all. Have a great weekend. Talk to y'all soon. And yeah, man, tell me some cool dice you have. So talk to you later. Bye bye.